This year, folks, has been different than every other year we've been alive. We will vividly remember it and we'll discuss it and we'll debate it for decades. Our county has lost 1,500 of our souls to a deadly virus so far. Far too many of our families have lost loved ones here and across the world. Thousands of our workers have lost jobs. Small businesses that have succeeded for decades through the Great Recession are now gone, and many small business owners have lost their savings and their livelihoods. Far too many of our residents are still waiting for the state to send them their hard-earned income, their unemployment insurance, to help pay their bills. And many lie awake each night worrying about either eviction or foreclosure and the fate of their children moving forward in this economy. And in our world, county revenues cratered due to unemployment levels that we have not seen since the Great Depression, and social service needs of our residents were greater than ever. But we are unquestionably turning to a new and brighter and exciting chapter in our history. My parents served in World War II. That's the frame of reference that I grew up with, and it fundamentally shaped my view of public service and community responsibility. In World War II, our residents bought war bonds and grew victory gardens, and many, especially women who have never served in the workforce, went to work to build bombers and tanks. And during this historic pandemic, our residents, our county employees and local leaders pulled together to navigate a once-in-a-century global pandemic and the worst economic recession since the Depression. They donated to thousands of nonprofits. They distributed tens of thousands of meals. They volunteered thousands of hours to feed and serve and test and vaccinate our residents. We've come so far since January that it's easy to forget just 1 year ago, we not only had no vaccines, we were still fighting with other jurisdictions and even with FEMA to secure enough PPE to protect our firefighters when they were running COVID patients to the hospital, or our bus drivers from being exposed to our riders going to our essential workers going to work, potentially with a deadly virus. When we embarked on the budget this year, I said that over the year ahead, we would have the opportunity to recover and to rebuild a Montgomery County that is stronger and healthier and more prosperous and more equitable and more sustainable than the one we have today. And I still believe we cannot miss that opportunity. That's the path I believe we are on with the adoption of this budget. This budget is both responsive and it's responsible. It's responsive because it addresses the widespread needs of our residents, including many needs that have been unmet by the county government for years, including more mental health, more help for students, for housing, for transit riders, for pedestrians and cyclists, and for residents experiencing homelessness. And it's responsible. It doesn't raise taxes, it replenishes our reserves, and it sets us up to retain our AAA bond rating and positions us to continue our safe reopening and recovery, something we further codified with our 6th health order on Tuesday. The county executive, I know, sent us his best thoughts and his best ideas from his staff during a time of record uncertainty, but I am proud of this body because we took an all hands on deck approach in the last several months to ask the hard questions and address priorities and set our county on an even better path. And I want to thank outgoing President Sidney Katz for everything he shoulders last year to set us up for success. I want to thank Council Vice President and HHS Chair Gabe Albornoz for being a true partner in this work as we work together to fight COVID, and GO Committee Chair Navarro, who played an especially influential role managing the changes to our departments and to our budget. I want to thank each of you on the County Council, all my colleagues, and thank all of our staff for their hard work and their collaboration, including Marlene Michelson, Selena Singleton, Sonia Healy, and all of our policy and fiscal and racial justice analysts. And I'm very grateful to my staff, Chief of Staff Dave Kuhns, and our entire team, as well as all of your office staff as well. Without exception, they have been great partners under very difficult circumstances this whole year. I'm so proud of the work this institution has done collectively to meet our new challenges head on. The $6 billion operating budget doesn't give us just a roadmap through the next few months of this pandemic. It sets us up for long-term recovery and revitalization that awaits beyond the pandemic. So here are a few highlights. The budget provides a $25 million increase to the Working Families Income Supplement to provide direct support to the county's hardest working families. That makes our flat tax code more progressive. And research shows that our low-income workers will invest those dollars right back in our recovering local economy. As chair of the T&E committee, I want to thank my colleagues, council members Reamer and Glass, for their very thoughtful work. Among the committee's additions, I am most proud we provided an additional $250,000 for Safe Routes for School program to promote pedestrian safety among students. Thanks to Council Member Juando for raising that. And I'm excited we're finally going to have the long discussed county-wide assessment of all of our schools so that we can make a big investment in Safe Routes to School in next year's full CIP budget. In addition, we improved on the CE's recommended budget by extending the Ride on Fare holiday to help our low-income riders at this important time, and extended the Seniors Ride Free program to all the hours of operation. Under the steady leadership of ENC Chair Rice, we were able to uphold our steadfast commitment to education, fully funding MCPS and Montgomery College, and adding additional funding to expand quality early care and educational opportunities for our youngest children and make the costs of childcare more accessible for all of our families. We've also allocated record funding to our DHHS, our Department of Human Health and Human Services, which has been right at the center of our COVID response, to ensure their critical work continues and expands to help all of our residents access their services no matter what zip code they live in. I'm very excited about those programs. I'm grateful to the HHS committee. There's lots more I could say about that, but I'll leave it to the Council Vice President. With one exception, I'm particularly proud that we came together to build on something this council started last year with our mid-year special appropriation. I'm thrilled that we will fund 6 new social worker positions to increase the capacity of our mobile crisis teams, expanding mental health services and providing an alternative to police response for individuals experiencing a behavioral health crisis. And of course, our relief and recovery efforts wouldn't be complete without all the funding we allocated to our businesses and our local economy. We made significant investments in business assistance programs that'll help our economy recover and keep the lights on. I'm also very proud we increased the funding for the Office of Racial Equity and Social Justice in line with our commitment to enhance our staff training and ensure our policies and our procedures thoroughly examine and address our racial and social justice disparities. Much of this was made possible by our significant federal and state funding that Montgomery County received. I have to thank our federal and state delegation for their strong advocacy and partnership this year. Thank them all for fighting for Montgomery County, because we would not be positioned so well for recovery without all of their hard work. The council also stepped in, it's worth saying, to successfully negotiate an amicable end to hazard pay to fund salary and benefit increases for our invaluable county employees. We are so grateful to all of them for the sacrifices they made this year and for incredible hard work under challenging circumstances. Already desperately needed this support to deal with the impact of the pandemic and to provide essential services. The funding has allowed us to hold the line on taxes and replenish our reserves so we can keep our AAA bond rating. This has probably been the most difficult capital budget we've ever had. There are still many unknowns this summer and fall due to the shifting state and federal funding environment, and we'll continue to actively monitor those changes in order to help take advantage of any potential federal and state funding changes going forward. We're very committed to working in partnership with our school system to make the changes that they anticipated as well. And we set a framework to return to other budget issues in a very responsible manner when we have definitive answers about our revenue picture. But still, this budget's a welcome sigh of relief after a year of unprecedented challenges. It updates our priorities. It puts us in a strong position for sustained fiscal recovery. And as I said at the beginning of the year, let this be the year of recovery. Thank you again to all of my colleagues, all of our staff, and everybody who worked on this budget.